Welcome to This Week on Earth. My name is Ryan. Nobody else? All right. Welcome to This Week on Earth. This Week on Earth, I'm going to phrase this very carefully. This Week on Earth, we are doing a podcast on mass shootings. There will be some gun control talk, I'm sure, and some preventative measures and just what went wrong in some of these. I think it's kind of crazy that we have to talk about this, but the world is crazy, I suppose. But first, This Week on Earth and History, I'm doing it a little different this week. I told them I didn't give them no info. But This Week on Earth, we're going to do a quick one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 celebrity birthdays this week on Earth, and you have to rank them 1 through 5.
All right.
Oh, everybody cool with that?
Hell yeah.
June 1st, 1937. 1937. Who do you think it was? 1937.
1937, June 1st. That would make them
84.
84, because it hasn't been June yet. Celebrity.
Big
Elvis.
name. Big name. They're alive today.
Elvis.
Nope, not
Morgan
Elvis.
Freeman.
Morgan Freeman is correct.
There's no chance he guessed that and got it.
He looked it up or what?
No, dog. My phone's locked. I just guessed.
He's on a computer.
You guessed Morgan Freeman.
Dude, I swear on
That's-
everything I love, I guessed Morgan Freeman.
Well, that's
All
why I
right.
did it, because I feel like 84 years old, big name celebrity that's still alive today. It kind of narrows it down, I guess. I mean,
But anyway,
been the Queen of England or something, but-
even if I did Google that date, even though I didn't, I'm just saying, how would I know the exact one that he was thinking of anyways? There could have been 7 or 8 of them.
84-year-olds that are alive today that are big name celebrities born on June 1st, 1937.
All right,
I mean-
I'm just gonna leave it at skepticism.
That's fine. All right, so we've got Morgan Freeman.
dog, my last Google search was the Ron Clark story. That is literally just part of my
Pornhub.
story. That's it.
June 2nd, 1975, Angelina Jolie. June 5th, 1971, Mark Wahlberg.
Marky Mark.
June 7th, 1958, Prince. And June 7th, 1975, Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson. In
Yep.
Virginia.
In Virginia. 3 actors, a musical artist, and a basketball
Oh,
player.
yeah, I forgot we have to rate them. What?
You got to rank them 1 through 5, 1 being the best. Who wants to go first?
I got you.
Okay.
Number 1, going with Mark Wahlberg. 2 reasons. 1, his movies are great, and 2, shout out to the name Mark.
Hell yeah.
2, I'm gonna go Morgan Freeman because his voice is iconic and he makes some pretty good movies.
The
Okay.
voice of God.
Yeah. 3, I'm gonna
Okay.
go with AI because Allen Iverson was a cool basketball player.
Okay.
4, I'm gonna go with Prince. Purple Rain was a great song, and he's the next available one that's good. And 5, I wish you didn't even name her because I think she's trash. Angelina Jolie.
What?
Wow.
Wow. Is right.
She only gets the only credit she gets is for her potential adopting of like 19 kids. That's it, but that's still skeptical in my book.
Tomb Raider? I mean,
Lara
come on.
Croft, Kiss My, a terrible movie. Didn't like it.
It's not about the movie, it's about the character.
The only movie that she was supposedly kind of good in, which she was a bad character, but the movie was great, was Wanted. That's it.
What about Blow? Wasn't she in that?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know there's a girl that looks like Angelina Jolie on the cover. I've never seen the movie.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go. I'm gonna go 1 with Angelina Jolie just to make Bauer mad. No, I'm kidding. Probably AI for number 1, just because he also you could argue he changed the game of basketball as well. Big deal. And then I'm gonna go with Prince number 2. He was super influential in a lot of people's lives and just recently, passed away. So
Yep.
shout out to Prince. 3 is probably Morgan Freeman. Pretty cool guy. He seems like he'd be cool to like chill with, just have a conversation with, maybe drink a beer if he drinks beers.
Yeah.
4, who do we have left?
You got Mark Wahlberg and Angelina.
Yeah, okay.
Jolie.
Mark Wahlberg. He can go 4 and 5, Angelina Jolie. I would rather watch Mark Wahlberg movies than Angelina Jolie movies.
Okay. Fair enough. Sounds good. Nick, Gage, me, I don't care. I'll go next.
I can't physically rate these people because I don't know them and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah, hopefully Angelina Jolie doesn't listen to this.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be great.
Hopefully not.
Tune in. I don't give a fuck.
Rude.
Okay. Number 1 for me is Morgan Freeman. Big fan. Think he's really cool. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Prince. For obvious reasons. Everybody likes Prince. Number 3, I'll go with Allen Iverson. He did change the game, brought the most swag at the time.
And it's his number.
Wow. Yeah, he deserves the spot. Number 4, I will go with Mark Wahlberg, and number 5, Angelina. Sorry. She's not trash, but yeah, she is number 5 on this list. Okay.
Angelina Jolie is the equivalent of Chris.
Pretty
Pratt
sure
in
mine was the same as
1997, who plays
Jimmy's.
Apex Legends. He's trash.
Wait, what?
I
Shout
didn't
out
hear.
to Jimmy on that one.
What happened?
We
Oh, I
had a
heard-
terrible random player on Apex earlier today. He's terrible.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Was it me?
No,
Oh, okay. I'm terrible as well.
no, you're not.
Yeah.
Gauge, tunes, rank, if you want to.
I said mine was the same as Jimmy's.
Oh, word.
Just
Hell,
ranking them off of people.
Solid. It's a good ranking.
Yeah. Nick, you're not ranking? You don't
I don't want to
know?
hurt anybody's feelings.
Why don't you put Angelina Jolie first and not rank the rest?
Yeah.
It's not genuine.
Okay.
No integrity in his rankings.
I understand. That's fine. Don't participate then.
I am participating.
You are.
Participating, but not participating.
You've already spoken more this go round than you did last go round at the beginning. So I'm happy. We need to hear from you. We love
I
to
need to
hear.
buy a lottery ticket since I got the Morgan Freeman one.
This toilet seat is uncomfortable, man. Trying to get right.
I got a massager on my chair.
Heard of that.
I got a bidet on this toilet.
Whoa.
Do it one time.
Do it one time for the one time.
No thing. I've got my shorts on actually. But anyway, we can get to the topic at hand today. Mass shootings of any sort. This isn't like narrowed down to school shootings or, it's all of them. We've had 2 in the span of a week and a half, something like that. We had the Buffalo shooting, and then obviously we had the one in Texas.
Shit, and there was one in the New York subway like a week before.
Really?
Buffalo. Yeah, somebody shot up a subway.
Apparently, there's just a whole lot of them all the time.
Yeah, and where are they? America, most of the time.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, their first thought is gun laws, right? and that does, I think that it does need to be improved. Now, I'm not saying we need to take guns away from citizens because I think that's total bullshit. But I do think that the process needs to be improved for sure. I know when I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods back in the day, I did gun sales there, and they have to pay like a background check fee, but they take the gun home with them that day anyway. So I guess I don't know what the process is on that, like whether, you know, they do a background check in Virginia for sure, but they, I guess you get to take the gun home with you, and if something comes up with your background check, they come take it from you. I don't really know how
I
that
had
works.
to apply
No.
for a permit and it with the sheriff's office. It had to get approved. I had to go to the sheriff's office and supply my driver's license, a money order or a check to the sheriff's office. They had to process that. And then they processed my background check just to give me a permit to buy one singular handgun in Mecklenburg County.
Mm.
So like, and if you want to buy more than one gun, you can buy more permits at one time, but you got to get a permit per gun and go through that process for every handgun in Mecklenburg County.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
What were you gonna
I
say,
mean-
Nick? Oh, go ahead.
They don't. Your background check goes through that during either in a couple hours or you get flagged. I got flagged once, and if you get flagged, you can't take the gun home. You can't leave with the gun until your background check clears.
When I bought my pistol, that's how it worked. Like I had to wait forever in the store for them to run my background check, and it had to come back before I could leave.
Was
But
yours
like-
a handgun, Nick?
Yeah, well, mine.
Yeah.
Was it classified a handgun by the measurement?
Any gun that you buy, you got to pass the background check before you leave the store with it in Virginia.
Then maybe it's changed since I worked there. That was in 2000.
Well, they've got
Well-
the you can go buy a gun at a gun show and not have to do any of that.
Wait.
I think, unless they've changed some laws on that, which I don't think that they have. But
I think you
That's-
got to have a license, a certain license to be able to just purchase them at those shows. Though.
I don't know. I know that several years ago you could just go into a gun show, buy a gun, any of the guns that were in there, and buy it and leave.
Had to be of age, have proper identification.
Right,
I
but they're
got
not doing
flagged.
background checks or anything like that, and they're selling they're not just selling handguns.
They're selling ARs,
They're selling
XR.
all kind of stuff.
I got flagged in Danville at the pawn shop. I was going to buy 2 Glocks. It was a good deal. It was like $700 for both of them, and it was the only time I ever got flagged. Like, and it was just like it took like 5 days or something, and then the pawn shop called me. I was like, "Yeah, it went through," and then I spent the money, and I was going to buy the guns with them. They were that important. They were just cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if any of us are super educated on it or not, but from what I've read is it can be improved quite a bit.
I mean, the Virginia test to get your concealed is a joke. It's 10
Right.
questions, and it's like
See, but get to what you, but
If
you don't take
you
a concealed
do-
class until you have a weapon. I mean,
you
whether
don't have to take a class. You can go online, take this 10-question test, get your certificate, and take it down to the courthouse, and then you just apply with them.
But in the essence of the conversation that we're having about mass shootings is concealment, and having a concealed license doesn't mean jack diddly.
No, I'm just saying it's mad. I'm just saying it's almost pointless.
Oh,
'Cause if you-
absolutely,
If
for
you
sure. They might as
grew
well
up
just be
in
in
Franklin
Kentucky.
County, Virginia, you can pass the concealed 10-question test just off common knowledge of a gun.
And then you
Like
can,
it's simple stuff. It's like when you're cleaning a gun, do you make sure that there's not a bullet in the chamber? It's like stuff. Literally, it's stupid. It's stupid easy. You literally, it's just paying for it pretty much.
Yeah.
North Carolina, you got to take an 8-hour class to conceal a weapon. You got to go sit in a classroom, and they'd have a range part of it. It's an 8-hour thing during the day.
But see, then your
Wow.
Virginia concealed still works in other states. I mean,
Living
some
in West
states.
Virginia, you don't need one at all. You can just anybody can conceal carry.
Yeah. See, I know
But I
it
do
differs from
think-
state to state.
I do think that it's kind of ridiculous that an 18-year-old can buy a AR-15, but they can't buy a handgun. If I feel like they both need to be 21,
Yeah.
if anything.
Or both 18 for that matter. I don't see what the difference is as far as that. Really, all of them are just as deadly as the other one if they're used
Yeah,
in
but I
that.
mean, I guess the only thing I can think is that one of them is easily concealable and one is not
Yeah.
easily concealable.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not like our economy is so secure that it's like it doesn't matter that it's not that concealable. You can pull up to a place, hop out with an AR-15 and walk straight into a door of an establishment with ease. It's not like you're stopped because
I mean,
people
I'm just
see
yeah,
it.
no, I
Like,
know.
it's
I'm just
like,
saying, like, that's the only thing I can think.
that to me doesn't make like, okay, cool. Like, you can't hide it that easy. It doesn't matter. You don't, because you can be further away and do damage with that. It's what it's built for. So that doesn't really mean anything. I think it should be 21 for both.
Yeah.
I think it's 18 because of how, like, the hunting culture, because it's like hunting rifles and stuff. Like a 18-year-old going hunting their whole life can go buy their shotgun or go buy their hunting rifle. That's, to me, that's the only thing that makes sense of why it would be like that. But their parents can buy the gun for them if they want to, and then if they do
Right.
something with it, it's the parents' fault and the kids' fault. Like, the parent would have to get in trouble too.
Right. Well, that kind of brings me to the next thing is, people always say, if they don't let you get a gun the legal way, then people will just find their way to get guns. And I guess in a sense that's true. But if you look at the majority of these mass shootings, it's not like they're criminals necessarily doing them. I mean, this last one was an 18-year-old kid with, what I've seen, no criminal background. There's nothing preventing him from going to get a firearm. Like, even if it were the case, there's nothing preventing. And so they're like, criminals will go get the guns, but these people aren't criminals until they commit these acts.
I mean, yeah, but I kind of there are a lot of things that are illegal that people still do every day. And that's just how it
Absolutely.
is. That's how it's going to be. And I do think that, we can have gun control laws be stiffer, but like, I don't know how you do that, because to what you're saying, like, these people wouldn't flag, like they
Right.
wouldn't have any kind of background check they wouldn't fail a background check. They might be able to do if you were to add mental capacity tests or like a waiting period or whatever, like they could still do all of that and pass the thing. So like, there is no universal like cookie cutter thing, but like making them harder to acquire. I agree with, like, nobody needs these super big magazines like to hold 60 rounds, or there's just no need for that. And a lot of people argue like, oh well, we have the right to bear arms and yada yada yada, and they end up talking about fighting the government or something like that. And it's just like, that's not gonna happen. Or like, if it does happen, we already lose. Like, your 60 round mag on your AR-15 is not gonna lead some resistance force against the US government. So I mean, it's just kind of a dumb argument in my eyes. But yeah, I don't know. I think that there are going to be bad people, and like, as long as guns exist, which I personally think that they should.
Yeah.
Like, you're bad. I mean, it's terrible, but that's just kind of, I don't know how it could be better. It needs to be better for sure, but I don't know how you do that. And if there's more people out there that are more educated on that, and like what can actually be done from a political standpoint, or whatever. But I have no idea. I have no suggestions on what to do.
I think upping the age would help out a lot, even though you could say they'll still get it if they want to. So, but
yeah, I definitely think it still should be harder. Like, we can't just say, oh, they're going to get them anyway, so let's just not even care. Like, that's not.
if they can't get it legally, the steps they got to take to get it illegally add more chances for them to get caught before it happens, because you're going to
Right.
have to be in a shady area. The parents are going to notice you going to these places or talking to, they could, not saying all the time, it's not 100%, but there's more chances to notice it happening because you got to go figure out how to get the shit instead of just walking into a store your parents don't even know. You could say you're going out to Walmart and you go buy a fucking AR at 18 and nobody knows but you and the person you bought it from. You know what I mean? Like having that extra step of having to get it illegally adds multiple chances to get caught getting that damn gun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think up in the age is fine. I think there'll be a bunch of upset country kids that they can't get their hunting rifle, but I mean, and it's not saying that every mass shooting is an 18-year-old kid either.
Right. Yeah. But that still takes away a percentage of the population.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with that. I think anytime you make more mature things for more mature people, it's a good thing in most cases anyway. I don't necessarily agree with the tobacco thing.
Like you
That would
can
piss me off.
you can't go buy a beer or a cigarette, but you can go buy an AR-15
Right.
at 18 years old. Like what?
Yep. It's
You
kind of crazy.
you can't buy this stuff to kill yourself, but you can buy something that can kill everybody else.
Yeah. So now we can take it down the route of the school shootings. And like any of these, the same thing happened at Sandy Hook, where, I mean, just hours after the fact, it's almost so insensitive when this happens, but it's like all of a sudden these conspiracies of, law enforcement,
Right.
or like it was planned or it's fake or, something like that.
Crisis
Sandy,
actors and yeah.
right, exactly. And so I hate that happens. But I guess you just really never know. First of all, it's a really sad situation, this last one. I mean, some of the stories that you hear about the more personal thing. I saw a thing that I don't know if any of this is true. All I ever see the stuff on is Facebook, and there was one where
it was true then. It was on Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The teacher that got shot, or one of the teachers, her husband died.
Are you talking about
2
the
days
dude
later.
with the water?
attack?
He had like the water, he ran a vehicle on water and not gas. I saw something about that.
No, this guy
This one
was the
died of a heart attack.
Attack later that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of days because he was heartbroken or some shit.
Yeah, and they had 4 kids, which is just
Yeah,
crazy.
Sad.
2 parents, and that one I did check on, and it was like reported by CNN, Fox News, like all this. So I do think that happened, and those 4 kids went from losing their mom suddenly to losing both parents in a matter of 4 days or 3 days or 2 days or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
and then there was the other story I saw where it's the mother of 2 kids, and she, went to the school, got handcuffed, and then they released her, and she hopped the fence to the school, went in the school and grabbed her 2 kids and got out, all within the time frame that the police did not take action. They say that the police were there for, okay, first of all, they said that the shooter shot outside the school for 12 minutes. And then went inside the school, and police did not enter the school for another 45 minutes after he entered.
Like was shooting at the school from outside of the school.
I don't know that he was shooting at the school. All I saw is that he was shooting. This was a news article I read, that he was shooting outside of the school. I'm assuming it's right.
When you
So,
say
like,
at the school, you meant like on the premises, not
on the
directly
premises,
at the building.
I don't know. It could have been directly at the building, but I'm not sure.
Right, just somewhere outside of the school he was shooting.
I just don't understand how there's such an idea that of a security officer or plan of action for an active shooter, but the police didn't go in there strapped up to a T doing tactical maneuvers, going in there, finding the kid that had the gun that wasn't in a classroom. I mean, it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, a lot of it doesn't. But that leads me to, what are the steps that the schools can take? Yeah, I saw that Jimmy Kimmel, I think it was, went in on Senator Ted Cruz, senator in Texas, about how he had mentioned that it was essentially, he was saying that it was the doors, like that they should have less doors on schools, or less entrances of schools, or something like that, was basically what he said. And
it shouldn't even boil down to the schools having to come up with an extreme alternate like measure besides a tornado drill for an active shooter.
Yeah, with
boil down to that point. But it's gotten to a situation where schools now have to come up with a active shooter plan. But I personally don't think teachers should have guns.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen that argument for sure.
And
I don't.
No.
Again, the only reason why is because these people are trained to teach, not trained to react in an active shooter situation and make it more dangerous to get scared and drop the gun and give a kid an option to grab a gun and try to do something. It just creates more problems. Now, do you have like Agent Cody Banks teacher in every school that's ready to teach EG? That's not actually a teacher. That's what a security resource officer is for. But I mean, what good are they?
There's got to be something that can be done that is not arming the teachers, because I don't think that's fair to the teachers.
It's not.
I think
they're
that
already
it's
one
not
of
a
the
good
most
idea.
underpaid professions. I mean,
it's not a good idea to have guns that could be. You know what I mean? Like imagine. One of our high school teachers, one of those little women. I'm not going to name names, but like there were, we had small teachers that we had dudes that we went to school with that were huge. If they wanted to take the gun from that person, if they had it on them, they probably could do it. You know what I mean? Like then you're putting more, just guns in a place with kids that could be having a bad day. And just like everybody's done something stupid or crazy, when they're having a terrible day or mad or whatever. I just think it's not a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Security detail outside the school. Some people have talked about hiring veterans. That could be an avenue, but anybody, literally anyone that did it, there would have to be extensive background checks and all sorts of stuff that went on. You can't just
you gamble with veterans because they could have serious PTSD and
right. Well, yeah,
no, but I agree. Getting homeless veterans that are looking for occupation and stuff, there's plenty of them out there that would be able to protect children at schools. I mean, I personally think that I don't wish any high school to be picked, but it's so low that he picked a bunch of kids.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, they tell the kids in high school don't do anything, but I'm sure that there's some kid somewhere that would have been like, yo, I'm gonna stop this guy. You mess around and run up on Franklin County with the gun, somebody's liable to run to their truck at track parking lot and have that thing ready to go. It's just, I hate that elementary school was picked on, and I
agree with that.
About this kid was bullied. This kid had home issues. There was no applicable reason. Again, I'm sorry the kid had, if anything happened to him, but I don't care if he was the worst of the worst things happening at home to him. Doesn't make sense why he went and shot up an elementary school. They're going to draw it out some crazy story. I think you should spare the rod, beat the child in all these situations. No due process, no guilty, innocent till guilty, fair trial. It should be DOA, like the old days, a wanted poster out with that person's face on it. If you're an active shooter out of school, it should be dead on arrival. You should be shot point blank for even bringing the gun and firing it on campus, even if you didn't hurt anybody. The potential for it and your aim was to cause harm. You should, and people's gonna, that's heinous. Well, it's gonna stop. It's gonna have people be like, shit, if I don't get away with this or don't accomplish my goal, I'm gonna get capped. And some people do it to get, it's a suicide mission, death by police.
Yeah,
This is such a slippery slope because there's no reason that any 5 of us would be like, yeah, this is cool. Mass shootings are great. So we're all going to sit here and think that it's bad, and we're all either pressed or opinionated on what can be done and what shouldn't be done. It's so tough. It sucks. So, I mean, this literally sucks so bad. And we're only talking about schools in this situation. I mean, we have Aurora, Colorado, where people are watching a movie. You have the subway in New York. You have the Tops Minute Market 2 weeks ago in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, what's considered a mass shooting is what
Vegas at the music festival.
Yeah.
Was that the Las Vegas one where dude was up top?
Yeah.
That was actually insane. I mean, shoot, we had one close to home at Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister was attending Virginia Tech when that happened.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think this is something that you solve overnight. That's for sure. Now I know that some schools in our area, like Burnt Chimney, where Eli goes to school, they have the little door lock where they have the camera outside. You got to press a button to talk to anybody. All doors are locked. You have to press a button. They, identify you, and then you can come in, which I think is great. I think it's simple. I think that that's something, that all schools could affordably accomplish.
But what if you lock? But the crazy thing about that is what if you lock the person in the room that nobody can get in to stop them? But that kid's got everybody.
I feel what you mean.
You got to have a way to not get them locked in a room with
Right.
dogs in a cage, in which you can't avoid. All of this is almost unavoidable unless you Nostradamus.
Well, they say that the law enforcement at the Texas school unlocked the door with a master key. Like, I guess that they're provided with a master key, but that's not to say that.
Did he get shot by police, or did he shoot himself? Did that ever get released?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. No idea. Somebody Google it.
I think I remember in like the first reports they said the shooter was one of the people dead, but I don't know.
He did die. I did see that, but I don't know how.
Right.
I don't know if it was police or self-inflicted. I don't know. But even with the camera thing, it's not to say that one of these parents isn't going to do it.
Right.
An officer. You never know. I mean, you just never know.
I just think it's crazy that nothing has really been done. Like, because like this is like for real bad. Like it's like one of the as far as I'm concerned, like one of the worst tragedies that can happen, and like it's super common now. It happens.
There's more. The average is more than one a day.
And then like it gets to whatever politicians or whatever, and it's just like it shouldn't matter what side you're on at all at that point. Like something's got to be done. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not one of the people that knows what can be done. Because I think, like I said, bad stuff is going to happen. There are evil people. That's just the way it is. People are going to do terrible things. It should be very hard for them to be able to do those terrible things. There is no way to stop it completely. And I don't think that there is. And you're not going to take away. And I don't think that guns should just be taken away. But
certainly not.
Even if I did, there's no way that that's going to happen. It's just not.
They're already out in the world.
So I don't know. I mean, some schools have metal detectors, and like I'd like to see the stats on stuff like that, like schools that do have these extra security measures, like the doors with the locks, so you have to be buzzed in, or metal detectors or whatever. Because at this point, like back in the day, people were like, "Oh, it's a school, not a prison," yada yada yada. We're not. It's at this point that it's at now. Like there have to be compromises made, I feel like, and there needs to be like metal detectors and more security at schools. You shouldn't just be able to walk in there, because like I know that any of us right now could go to Central Parking Lot and walk into Ramsey Gym right now, and nobody would say a word. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just, and I think that it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
At any school, there should be they have to spend the money, they have to put in the infrastructure. There at least needs to be locks on the doors, and only people admitted, that only have a reason to be there should be there.
Yeah.
Because I've gone to Franklin County and gone and like visited teachers, just like walked up in their classrooms and just like, what's up? How you doing? How you been? And of course, I'm not there with any malicious intent, but like,
Right.
if I were, there's literally no one that stopped me.
Especially on a campus that size too. I mean, I feel like that's not a campus that you can have eyes on all places at all the time, all times.
Right.
Which they do have like the little security buildings and, like the little at the entrances to the actual campus. But I mean, you could just
Right.
walk up the side. It's just, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't think taking guns away is correct. Like you said, I honestly am a true believer of the more people that are armed, the better. I think, the good people outweigh the bad people by a vast margin. And the more good people with guns is good for the world, or for America in this case. I don't know what the statistics are in other countries. I know that things have happened, obviously, in other countries, and
I'm pretty sure Sweden is one of the countries where like a lot of citizens have guns, and it's
Yeah.
like one of the most safest,
crime.
low gun crime places in the world.
I think their crime rate's like physically zero.
Like, I don't know exactly what, but there's something there where like, I guess like people that served in the military, and pretty much all the men serve in the military, and you get issued a gun. So like literally every family has a gun,
Yeah.
essentially.
I do think that would help for sure. Now that's just for everyday life crime. That's not, obviously, I don't think that they should take. I'm not going to rule out guns in schools, having the good people armed with guns, but I do see, I've never really looked at it from the perspective of like a high school with like little teachers and bigger students and bad days. And I've honestly never looked at it that way. So I'm glad that you said that, because that is something to consider. I guess I'm more recently picturing smaller students with an elementary school,
Right.
So that's important to think about. But there needs to be some type of available retaliation in those cases.
Yeah.
Whether it's armed security, like you said, or veterans that are there, or something. And I know that some schools do have that. I know that some schools do have armed security on campus, or a safety officer on campus, and stuff like that. I don't know, but like I said, I don't think that it's something that's solvable today. I think it's probably going to take some trial and error if they can get anywhere at this point. I mean,
it's too late for trial and error, though. I mean, we have all the bad things that have happened is the trial and error.
I don't think it's too late for trial and error. There's been no trial and all error so far, in my opinion. Some places,
okay, literally speaking, yeah, but the trial is sitting here. I mean, the metal detectors and whatnot, but there hasn't been a huge implementation as far as a government sanction on weapons or anything. You're right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They need to make it a nationwide thing. If they're going to implement metal detectors, they need to put them in nationwide. And if they can give out $3 trillion in stimulus checks, they can give out $3 trillion in metal detectors.
We can give $8 billion to Ukraine to fight a war that's not even important.
Yeah, I won't say it's not important, but I feel you. They have money.
Yeah, the bottom line is it definitely can be done. Like, it for sure.
Right.
We have the means to do it, and that's what is aggravating about it, because it's just like nothing gets done really. Like, and the Las Vegas thing, that a lot brought up a big conversation about bump stocks and like people talking about modifications to their guns and things like that. And I just feel like it's not, they should allow or outlaw bump stocks and silencers and high capacity magazines. There's just no reason to do that. There's no reason to have, it's cool, but okay, whatever. Like, and I'm not,
with that shit.
You don't need any of these things. I'm not saying any of these were pieces other than the they're saying the guy in Vegas had a bump stock and he could shoot faster or whatever, but like they don't have to have those things, but it definitely should be. There are laws in place. You can't just go get a silencer. You have to get tax stamps and talk to the state police or something and get, verified through them. So there are things like that, but I wouldn't be super upset if they outlawed all high capacity magazines. If they did outlaw ARs, like I'm not so attached to having and owning an AR that I'm going to be mad if I can't get one.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, but then there's no reason at this point, there's no reason to still be fighting that fight in my eyes. Like, okay, you want to have them easily accessible so you can buy one and go target shooting, or like the people that are gun collectors that have all of these guns. Like, I don't know. It's just, that is very extreme, and I don't foresee that happening. But something has to be done. You definitely no full auto weapons. There's no need for that.
Yeah, but in the same light, if you go into an elementary school as the only armed person in there, it doesn't matter if you have an AR or a handgun or a shotgun or whatever. You can do as much damage as you want, as much ammo as you bring.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm saying these people are going in the church like the kid did. They went in the church and no one's bringing their gun to church. These kids don't have weapons. They don't have any way to fight back at that point, which, I hate to say it, but it almost comes down to the point where you need to have a plan in place for retaliation.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, though, like I'm all for that. Like I have carried my pistol, and I'm not against people having firearms on them for protection at any time. As if you're a responsible, sensible person, and all of the checks have been marked, and that's that. Like there's never been a situation, and I don't foresee, like you can have. Like my 9mm holds 16 shots at 16 9mm rounds. If I have that with me and something happens and I have to use that, like I'm not thinking, oh, I wish I would have had my personal AR with me. You know what I mean? Like, so you can have that argument, and then, but I still think that I'm not against people having guns. There's no need to carry an AR-15 around, and even if somebody else does, that your 9mm or your 40 or your 45 can handle that situation. I mean, this isn't Call of Duty's not real. Like if you shoot somebody with a 9mm or a 45, they're gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
That probably chances are, you can stop them with 8 or 16 rounds. You don't need to go get your AR out of the trunk.
Yeah, I totally agree with that for sure. Definitely something.
I think people have like a Napoleon complex, and I think having the big gun. I mean, this is just to back what Jimmy said. It's just like it entices people to these big guns. Like I go back to, you don't need 25 rounds, a laser beam, a bump stock, a rail rack, a silencer, and all this stuff to kill. I mean, people are like, oh, I want to have the best chance to hunt with, or okay, but that gets you a 30-06 in a sight. You don't need this tactical weapon. You're not tactically killing a deer.
Right. And I guess just to like cover my ass here, like I've met people that have really cool gun collections, and like they have that stuff, and like, yes, it's badass. That's cool shit to have. And I don't feel uncomfortable with any of the people that I've met that have had these gun collections having these gun collections. Like I don't think that they should not be able to have them, but at the same time, something has to happen. Like there's got to be.
Sorry that you're not going to have your gun collection anymore, bro, but we got to stop the other people.
It's not even that. You're not going to be able to take what they have away. It's just, there's no, like, I don't know. I'm not attacking people, sensible people that I do know that have gun collections that should be able to have them. But there are mass shootings all the time, and something like, I don't know, like there's just, that is not more important to me. It shouldn't be more important than what the matter at hand, I guess.
A sacrifice for the greater good.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I can agree with that. Me personally, I could care less. You know what I mean? Like I have no desire to have an AR. That's not something that I would feel comfortable having at home with kids anyway. Or if it came down to it and I wasn't here and Tabitha needed to use something, That's not something I would feel comfortable with her having to use. Like it's just how I look at it.
That's creepy.
But there are so many law that is creepy.
I don't like clowns, so that's really creepy.
There are so many law-abiding citizens, with guns, and there's people who have them for sport and just like the range and like, I don't know what the correct answer is, but that it's not from both sides. It's not fair.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For 100%. There are definitely more good people out there in the world than there are bad. And it's not fair. In no way is it fair. But what do you do?
Yeah.
Like what do you do?
The world's not fair.
The beauty in that is that we don't make the decision. We have our opinion, but we do not make the decision, and it comes down to the people in power that so far have done little to nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they're
that-
like countries like England. They don't have firearms. They don't have them.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Growing up, how I grew up, like where I grew up, I guess I should say, it's just crazy to me that people don't have firearms.
Right.
Other places. I don't
A
know
lot of government officials are backed by the NRA. Like a lot of people's pockets would be getting hurt if they did anything for against the rifle owning. Like that's the shitty part about it, is that it's all going to come down to a dollar sign at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean everything does.
No
for
doubt.
sure. And that's
No doubt.
that's why it's frustrating, because it doesn't. It's it's politics.
Well,
That's it.
you would think that would help them make the decision to make it more difficult and more costly or more something to obtain.
Right.
You would think that out of all the money that they're making, that they would let a couple things slide, but they are so hungry and so greedy that every penny has to be scraped up. Like they are not letting anything slide that can make them money. Like, nope, we're not cutting that, because that is 1.0038% of my annual income.
Yeah.
We can't knock that. Like,
And them
so
boys
you
is
can't
in
let rifles
debt.
slide.
Big time. So that also plays a role.
What?
I said they're in debt as well. The American dollar doesn't hold that same value as it once did. So still holds value, no doubt about it. But
I need another monster.
damn, son.
Kind of like what you were kind of touching on earlier. It's like I think it does, it does happen too soon, and there are definitely people out there that just try to stir the pot, or like just try to get clicks on their link or whatever it may be. But like the fact that it wouldn't be crazy if there's some sort of not full on conspiracy theory that this was staged or planned or whatever, but I definitely think that there are things that are overlooked or underreported or reported wrong, or
Right.
purposely, and that there's just the fact that we would even entertain that the government, whatever that may be, higher powers could be involved in any way, I think is a shame. But like that is definitely a real thing. I wouldn't be full on surprised if somewhere out there has something has happened that the government may have been aware of, or
Yeah.
didn't do the proper things that could have stopped it or whatever, because it has happened before.
Yeah. The thing that, I'm not against that coming out. I just feel like if it is 100% what meets the eye at first, it's terrible to have those things come up. Imagine being the parent of one of those children and seeing this was staged by the government, or this
Yeah,
was,
for sure.
there were actors out there, and, that's
Right.
just terrible. I mean,
Yeah, well, yeah, and you got the people that are out there. There's people out there that straight up said that Sandy Hook just didn't even happen.
correct.
Wasn't even that was all a hoax. it's
And
just
I've seen some of
that
the stuff
is-
on that, and it's kind of crazy. Like some of the things that don't add up, and it's believable, truth be told. I mean, I like to think in a perfect world that in a perfect world it wouldn't happen, but you know what I mean?
Right.
That it wouldn't be that, that wouldn't be possible. You hear that and you'd say that they're so full of shit, it's not funny. But I don't know. All of it's crazy, honestly. And I don't know. Something desperately needs to happen. They should be meeting on this as we speak. You know, they should have done that a long time ago. They should have done it after Columbine. They should have done it after Virginia Tech. Go ahead, Bauer.
I got a question for, I mean, this is more along the line of Gage and Jimmy are going to be able to answer this. Well, I guess technically you'd be able to answer it too, because Eli's kind of in your direct family thing too. Does with y'all have newborns, but does I don't have a kid, so this doesn't stir that pot in me as much and fear in me as like the future of my child.
Nick has
does.
Landon as well.
That is true.
But anyway,
I'm just saying, like, is the what is y'all's perspective as far as being parents on this goes? Like,
Bro, when I heard it, I felt sick, like literally sick. Just thinking about my son going to school and shit and that happening. That shit just didn't sit right. Like you see the posts on Facebook of people saying, like, what if you was having an argument with your kid that morning? Like that shit happens. Like when you go to drop off your kid, sometimes like things aren't going the right way.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. It just didn't sit right having a kid and thinking about that. I definitely think they need to protect them more for sure. I'm like Jimmy. I don't know what they should do, or I can't speak on that, but yeah, as a parent, it physically, like I literally felt sick, tears to my eyes, like, because you think about your kid, like, what if that was your own child in there? What you would be thinking or doing, or seeing the parents reacting to like going to the morgues and whatever, finding their kids, like, dog, that's some messed up shit.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to see that happen. So
yeah. To anybody for that matter.
right. I didn't want that to happen to them.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. No parent anywhere, no matter who you are, deserves to see their child go.
Right.
I mean, that's a fact of life. And especially in such a brutal public at that manner, you know, I mean, this stuff ain't no secret. It's everywhere. It's all you see on TV. It's all you hear about. If you're the parent of one of those children, it's going to be constantly lingering for the next however many days, weeks, months, years, who knows? I mean, so
yeah. It's just, I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, you know, definitely puts things in a different perspective, you know, having kids that are in school and like, and I think like one of the scariest parts about it is like, you know, everybody says the same thing. And I feel the same way, like to a certain point, like it's, you know, that wouldn't happen here. Like that's not going to happen in this little town, like, you know, where I live on this island, like that, you know, blah, 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 whatever. But like they thought that shit too. Like,
yeah,
you know, they just, it's the same day as the day before, you know, like there's nothing like, and that's the, you know, pretty scary. That's kind of terrifying. And you look at like, it's not even schools, you know, we had was it Miami or Orlando where the club was shot? And you got
Orlando, you're right.
You got Sandy Hook, you got, like we, you know, touched on several. Colorado too there. I mean, Columbine was in Colorado. You know, Aurora Theater, you got Tech, you got back in, you know, like the 70s or something, the dude in the clock tower at University of Texas, like all kinds of things for a long time. Kent State was was a bad school shooting back in the day. Like it's not new either. It's been happening. So it's just, and nobody thought when they send their kid to school that day that you know, they might get sick, they might get hurt on the monkey bars, they might, you know, have punched some kid in the face, like, you know, had just something, but not get shot and not come home. Like that's, you know, nobody expects that.
It's crazy to think that we don't hear about all of them, because I don't know what they consider a mass shooting when there's one or more casualties, or if there's more than a certain amount of rounds fired, or whatever the case may be. But nationally, like every year after year, there's an average of more than one a day. Like there's more mass shootings than there are days in the year.
Yeah.
So
it don't make sense.
It's just now there's a baby.
I was gonna say I'm probably naive for thinking it, or I am naive for thinking it, but I'm happy to live somewhere where I feel is safe.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, and that I do think that they have totally, from what I've heard and what, you know, from teachers that I know and other parents, the school systems here are improving in areas of security, you know, and they are making it a focus. So that's what that background means. You finally got something gorgeous over
I
there.
mean, yeah, it feels like we live in a safe area, but that shit can happen to us at any time.
For sure.
Like y'all were saying, how easy is it to walk on to Franklin County High School right now?
It was. I don't know what it's like today,
I mean,
especially, and you know,
you can
has been a
look
while.
from the side of the road and basically you could walk up there. And even my son's own school, like I walk up to the door and say I need to drop something off for so and so. If you know one person, they're letting you in.
yeah, I agree with that.
So I feel like
And like I said, you never
things
can
can be
rule out
better
parents and
for sure. I don't know. After this last one, it made me do a lot of thinking about like what could happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't sit right. It being elementary school kids, like that was most cowardly thing anybody's ever done. I feel like
Yeah.
attacking a school is horrible. Those
I-
are kids that haven't even got to live their lives yet. And why you feel the need to take their lives away just makes no sense.
Yeah, I think the church thing was, I won't say equally as low, but extremely low. Yeah, I mean, these people are cowards, clearly. And I, like I said, I'm admittedly naive on that, where I'm like, we live in a safe place, but like Jimmy said, nobody expects it. The place that this last shooting happened, never heard of it. Probably a small town. I don't know anything about it. It's not a city that you've heard before, you know. So I'm like, it could happen anywhere. And we've had things happen, like, you know, disgruntled people, like the news reporters getting shot at the
Yeah.
lake. You know,
That shit was crazy.
That
that
was
shit was crazy. I've honestly forgotten about it, but that was insane. And I mean, like, that's just a disgruntled ex-employee. I mean, and they say this guy was a disgruntled ex-student of the place that he shot, which still doesn't make sense.
I heard
Yeah, I
that
mean,
they had
how
complaints.
disgruntled can you be about your elementary school?
For sure.
Like
I
as
agree.
an 18-year-old. Like
Yeah.
that's just, I mean, even if you had like that's just bullshit. You know what I mean? There's just no.
Yeah, I don't get it. That's a almost grown man attacking little kids. Like
It is a
that's
legally
just
grown
wrong.
man, for sure.
It's already wrong to be a teenager and just go and attack some people that are bullying you. Like, yeah, that shit happens every day to everybody. You're gonna get past it.
Yeah.
So it ain't
mean, I
worth
just-
going and shooting anybody up. Not saying it's only teens, but
Yeah, as an example. Yeah.
as most school shootings go, it's mostly like you hear about bullying and shit like that. Not this case. This case, I've heard that they had warnings about this kid before. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, he
I
went
mean-
live on Twitch, right? Is that the one that went live, or is that the Buffalo?
Buffalo
shooting?
was the one that was live.
Yeah, that one baffles me too.
That
Ballard
he went in
touched
there
on
like a
that.
SWAT. I mean, he went in full kit, manifesto.
All of them are low. I mean, anybody that does this type of thing, all of these places are unsuspecting people. I mean, a grocery store. Now, the chances of someone being armed in a grocery store, I don't know Buffalo's laws on it, but or New York's, but the chances in a grocery store are higher that people are armed
The
than in a
Stoneman
school
Douglas
or in
High
a
School
church.
is the one that I keep thinking about. The cruise. He's pleading insanity. The Parkland High School in Florida.
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like a lot of these things could be prevented if people was paying attention to like mental illness of certain people in their neighborhoods, you know?
or even the mental state. You know,
Right.
it doesn't
Like
even
I feel
necessarily
like
have
if
to be
the
an
kid
illness.
is cutting scars in the side of his jaw, like something's wrong, you should probably get him looked at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that's not to say anyone or everyone or even the majority or whatever that has mental illness or some kind of
No.
aggression or anything would ever do anything close to this. It's a small, it happens often, like Bauer said, but the percentage of population that actually carries through with something like this is
Yeah, and
extremely small. So, I mean, that's to be considered as well. And that's what I think that they consider when they talk about ridden of ARs. The percentage of people with ARs is extremely low for who commits the crimes and who, uses them in the correct fashion and is responsible. And, so I don't know, man. I do think there needs to be immediate action, and that falls on the senators. I don't know if y'all saw Steve Kerr's message, but it was
Yeah.
extremely inspiring that someone on his platform, his dad was assassinated. I don't know if
I
y'all
was
knew that,
inspired
but
by that, and I actually saw people making fun of that, and that blew my mind that people were
yeah, well,
doing that.
people will do anything to look cool on the internet. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but yeah, hats off to him for doing that in a position that he's in. People are going to hear that, and he knows that, and he spoke from the heart. You could tell that it meant something. It hit home for him. So hopefully it sparks something. I mean, if it does, man deserves a medal for giving a speech like that at a presser, like at a press conference, for
I hope it
taking the
does
time.
too.
Yeah, take the time to do that.
But I feel like we've been seeing this going for a long time, and nothing's been changed. Like Columbine was what,
the
the
whole
90s?
country can get up in arms about something, and it doesn't make any difference. I mean, not trying to go into left field or like derail anything, but I mean, like with George Floyd and like the BLM and all that stuff, like that people were there. A lot of people, I would say most of the people that I knew, like people were talking about it. People were pissed, like they were, something's got to change, and that was like steady, strong. And then nothing's changed, nothing's been done. People still get killed by the police for no reason, today. Like, so it's just that's aggravating, because it doesn't seem to matter. Like people can get super serious, and like there were different countries around the world protesting. Like it wasn't even just in America.
For
but
sure.
It was an American incident that happened, and like nothing changed. The guy got found guilty or whatever, but like, okay,
that's one case.
Not, like,
right.
It's not a consolation prize. It doesn't, like it doesn't mean anything. Like
Yeah.
that he should have. That's not like a, it's like, what, you want a cookie? Like, yeah, he should fucking go to prison. Like he murdered somebody.
Any closing thoughts?
Rest in peace and prayers out to all the families. I mean, that's prayers and thoughts don't do nothing to help you, but it's the least we can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want something to happen. That'd be great.
Yeah,
my mom's husband said he wants to be a guest on the show if we ever do like a strictly gun control episode. He would have been good for this.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess my final, be nice to people. You can be mad at people. You can be angry at people. There's never an excuse to go shoot people, especially people that aren't even involved in any of it. But don't shoot anybody. It's just, I don't know. There's no reason for it.
Absolutely. Nick, anything?
It sucks.
Oh, I thought you were muted.
But I don't know. I don't know how you fix it besides, spend a bunch of money on locking down schools, entrances, and things like that. But then, I don't know. Gun control is really it.
You think that's where the answer is?
I mean, what else would you do?
Yeah. I feel you. Yeah, you're not wrong. We should definitely have
that's what That's why there's conspiracy theories about it, because it's like at this point, like there's like only one logical option:
Right.
gun control. So if that was an agenda for somebody, like that could fuel a whole conspiracy, I guess. Because
Yeah.
like that's literally all you can really do. Unless
Yeah,
you
definitely
rebuild
open the
every
door for it.
school and like change the whole schooling system of gated schools and like just revamp the education system, it's either that or gun control. Gun
Yeah.
control seems more logical.
Right on. Makes sense. Well, it's definitely something to think on.
I mean, but psychology, like, have been around a long time. And
You're freezing.
this wasn't happening all the time.
Yeah.
So
You're
like
right.
what happened psychologically to Americans to make this a norm?
Desensitized. We've been desensitized to it because we've seen it so much, you
I
know.
think
I'm
it
not talking
kinda,
about us seeing it. I'm talking about what made it normal for people to do it.
I just think it kind of snowballed, and I think there's people out there that are just they're just something wrong with them. And when they see, because I mean, Columbine was one of one the probably I guess the first big nationally known televised huge
Right.
deal school shooting. And it's
Columbine
like
was
those dudes are almost like they've almost been like made into legend almost. Like it's this big huge thing like Columbine, and it should get attention. But I felt like there are documentaries about the two kids. I know their names. Like I shouldn't, that's just crazy to me that I know what the two guys' names were because it was such a big deal, and they mystified this whole like they were bullied, but then they weren't really bullied, and there's just fucked up people out there that idolize that type of stuff, and like
Evil, man, evil.
and it does they do get attention, they do get
In
their
that sense, they got what they
name out
wanted.
there. Like yeah, like
Yeah.
they get their name out there, they get to stick it to the man and be like, oh, this is what happens if you bully me, like whatever their motivations are. But I think that people it's a big deal, and it's one of the most terrible things that people can think of. And I think that attracts those type of people. Like, what is something that I can do that is just disgusting? And like that's what it is. That's the answer to them. And I guess I don't know. I kind of went around the question there, but I think that they get kind of almost immortalized or just like so talked about that in this crazy way that, and again, the media picks up on it. It's sensationalized. And then there's people talking about conspiracy theories and all these things that are bigger than this person ever was. And so maybe that is enticing to those individuals that are extremely dark and, just terrible people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been an interesting topic for sure. I'm definitely going to do my research on it. And, I'm not extremely educated on gun laws and what the process is and where it stands with ARs and what percentages and, but I think it's something I need to educate myself on, especially after this, where it's just kind of like nobody knows. So yeah, I think I'm going to do some research and maybe I'll come back with some more information next week on Earth. Yeah.
Something that I have done and that I think people should do, like if you do feel strongly about something and you get the opportunity, sign petitions. Like you can, there's not a whole lot we can do, but you can sign petitions. You can make pledges or donations to things that you feel are the right cause. I've signed several, petitions. I'm not in a position financially to be donating to any causes, but
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I definitely would had I have the means, but there's not much that we can do, I guess, because we're not big players and politicians and have deep pockets and have a dog in that fight. But there are things that can be done that, if they might not help, but at least I feel good about signing petitions about gun control or school safety or whatever. If there's something that can be changed at Franklin County, people can go do that. Go to the school board, go to the meetings, go. If you have kids in the school system, like go do that. Go participate. Try to do something. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Well said, everybody. We'll close this one out, and we will certainly be back next week with something else to talk about. But yeah, this has been This Week on Earth. Like and subscribe.
Hit the notification bell.
Hit the notification bell. And comment. Let us know. Nick's got $20 for the next person to comment.
Oh, I'm about to. When you posting this?
Hey, I got the first access, baby. I got all the control. I just got $20 richer. All right, richer. We'll see y'all next week on Earth.
Hey.